Hello everybody, my name is Zach, aka the Weather Gamer, bringing you post-draft power rankings and Week 1 pick'ems, and I just realized that Week 1 does not look good in white. We'll go with that. And Week 1 pick'ems, actually, pick'ems isn't great either. So how these are supposed to work is I have 5 co-hosts, or not co-hosts, well yeah, they can't be co-hosts. I have 5 analysts for this league. I have Cameruption, aka Alteria. His link will be in the description down below. Clem, who is a coach and also an analyst, his link will be in the description down below. Shadow, who is a coach and an analyst, his description will, or his link to his YouTube channel will be down below. And Grandma Board, or Board, he's known as Grandma Board in a different server, but he's Board in WWC. And then myself, that's the 5 team. By the way, no face cam, just like last season, there won't be a face cam. But the 5 of us do power rankings every week, ranking the 16 teams from WWC from 16th to 1st. How we see fit, and then giving analysis for it, and then pick'ems. That's all we're gonna have this week because we don't have any transactions to talk about because it's post-draft. So this is just what those two are. Normally there'll be transaction discussion as well. I'm hoping to get Clem or Shadow or Board or Cameruption to join me, or 2 of them join me or something, just to co-host this with me. That way it's not just me talking, I can bounce off of them and all that instead of reading through, because I have the WWC pulled up right now, the Pick'ems tab. Just going to read through and talk through what they said, compare it to mine. It'd be nice to be able to bounce that off of other people, but unfortunately it just didn't work out this time to have any of them available to record with me. So let me pull up WWC here. We're going to go ahead and start. Again, this is solely on your post-draft rankings. So this doesn't take into any effect of coach's battle skill. It shouldn't take into effect any prior knowledge of coaching, battle skill, all that sort of thing. These are the official power rankings, which are determined by taking each of the 5 power rankings, the coach's slot, giving them a point value, and then dividing by 5. So if you're 16th, you get 16 points. If you're first, you get 1 point. And then from lowest point total to highest is 1 through 16. So to start this off with, we have the Houston Hydreigonz and Nikki in 16th. Consensus across the board was to put Nikki in 16th. I think only Clem had him in a different spot. No, it wasn't Clem. Who had him in a different spot? Board. Board had him in a different spot. Consistently, he was 16th, 15th, 16, 16, 16. Pretty easy to lock him into the 16th position. Alteria liked the fact that there's a lot of offense on Nikki's team with Mimikyu, Thundy Eye, Minior, Keldeo being threatening sweepers. Darm and Staraptor are great choice users. There's almost no bulk besides Mega Venusaur, and 5 flying types, which was a common complaint. 5 flying types on the team is just ridiculous, and I agree with that. Board mentioned that this is a super hyper offense team. Defensively, it leans extremely hard on Mega Venusaur. 5 flying types, just there. Clem talking about threatening attackers again, no hazards, and relying on offensive defoggers. And this team, again, very defensively weak. Shadow, again, having 5 flying types, 6 flying types is an issue. Plus, they all share rock and ice weakness. Team very weak to Bolt Beam and rocks. Very good straight. Electric types love the team until Mega Vena comes in. A lot of the similar stuff. I said he's more than handled to remove hazards. Like with 5 flying types, he can defog to his heart's content. But he definitely needs to look at some free agents and trades because he's very weak to rock, electric, and ice. There's potential for his team, just not there. So similarly, all of us see the 5 flying types as a huge mistake. The offense is very good, but the defense is very lacking. Plenty of free agent transactions. He's got 4 for the season. He can make trades with other coaches to get himself out. And who knows, we'll see week 1 if maybe his offensive core is enough to carry him even with 5 flying types. In the 15th slot, we have Matthias and the San Diego Togekiss. Matthias was pretty spread out amongst where he was ranked, being 13th with Altaria, being 16th with Board, being 13th with Clem, being 14th with Shadow, and being 12th with myself. So I had him ranked the highest. I thought he had a very solid team. I need to open up another WWC tab just so I can look at the teams real quick. Because I didn't put as many notes in on this as I'd hoped or wanted to. Let's see here. Draft tab. Alright. So we're talking about Matthias here. So Mega Sharpedo, not having the first turn Mega, Thundy T, Lycanroc Dusk, and Volcarona are all very, very nice. Mamoswine is very nice as well. Delmise plus Amoonguss is kind of strange. Bastiodon, also very strange. His Fire Water Grass Core, does he have a fire type? Actually, his Fire Water Grass Core is non-existent. Doesn't have, oh yeah, it does, Volcarona. His Fire Water Grass Core is pretty good. His Fairy Steel Dragon Core is pretty not so good in Sylveon, Bastiodon, and Druddigon. Overall, it's a solid draft. The pieces are there for it to be a good team. It's just based solely on the draft. None of us really cared for the team. That's why I said, like, solid team, just don't know how well it'll play out. And I just didn't see how the pieces fit together. Shadow mentions offense doesn't appreciate rocks. Reliable hazard removers are lacking. Nothing to break defensive normals. He's missing a fighting type. Offensively, Mons are scary, but like hazards are a very big issue for Matthias. Shadow made some comments about picking up, say, Garchomp, Escavalier, Registeel, and a Tier 5 Fire would be good for making this team better. I don't know. We'll see. Matthias has historically been a very good battler. I'm sure he will take this team and do wonders with it, but again, post-draft, we have to go with the team and not the battle skill, which will change. Looking here, Clem, strong offense, but lacks a good steel and dragon type. Hazard control is poor because this team's weak to rocks, that sort of thing. Board. He just said the entire... Board had him at 16th and said his team was outclassed by everything. And Altaria had... Where is it? 13th. See, Altaria sees a lot of good in this team, as I do. Solid breaking power with Mamo, Volcarona, Thundy T. He says there's plenty of good rocks things and a good Fire Water Grass Core, which I agree with. But the Fairy Dragon Steel Core is really lacking, and hazards such as, like, he needs more hazard control. And then the last thing Altaria said was, this team seems kind of unproven, which he's right. I haven't seen a lot of these Mons before in this kind of team composition. Up next, we have Clem himself and the White Forest Weedles in 14th. Clem was ranked 15th by Alteria, 14th by Board. Clem ranked himself. Where'd you put yourself, Clem? Wheels. Clem ranked himself dead center at 8th. 11th from Shadow, and 13th from me. Alteria's comments on the Weedles, Buzzwall being a good right hand in the right hands, but not a huge fan of it. Houndoom was pointless unless it was the last type. Also, there's Bronzor, which I didn't agree with either. Why was Bronzor taken? He's got extreme bulk in Clef, Skarm, and Suicune, and his defense might lead him to more wins than his offense. Board says this is 100% a Clem team. Utilizing the team, Clem will utilize the team well. So Board kind of went into the actual coach sort of thing for the first part, actual team, and out of principle, this team is severely outclassed by everyone else. Board did what he could here. Clem's self-analysis, good bulk and special attackers, yet lacking on the physical side. Lots of hazard options with good removal. Mediocre ground type as well as little priority. Lots of fire weak mons and struggles with powerful rock type. So Clem actually objectively can see his issues here. We'll see what Clem does with this. Again, week 1, we're judging off teams. Shadow on Clem. Mega Camel and Trick Room as a threat, but where's the Trick Room setter? Which is true, Bronzor. Skarm, Clef, and Coon is disgusting bulk. And Latios is always a threat, is kind of what Shadow said. And I said I didn't know what the synergy of his team was. I'm sure Camerup will 6-0. I said I'm sure Camerup will 6-0 me and show me how wrong I was, but I just don't see how Clem's team fits together, and that's why I lowered him, because the Bronzor, the Mega Camel, the Houndoom, they all just don't seem to flow together. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. Coming in 13th, we have the New York Matangs. They were ranked 15th by myself, 15th by Shadow, 11th by Clem, 12th by Board, and 14th by Alteria. Alteria said this is another team that seems subpar, which I kind of agreed on. The Flinch Core is going to be frustrating, but otherwise nothing really stands out. 2 D-Dance Sweepers, some bulk, but 6 Mons have 4x weakness. 2 common things. Huff having Mega Heracross, Jirachi, Togekiss, Zygarde, Arcanine, Seismitoad, Raticate, Zarina, Gyarados, Diancie, Zeraora, and Garbodor. Again, I agree, he's got some good Mons, like Togekiss, Jirachi, Mega Hera, with not having to Mega and being allowed to get a Moxie boost. Zygarde, Arcanine, they're all good Mons. It's just how well they fit together with his team is where again, that's why a lot of these bottom-ranked teams are teams that I just don't understand the synergy of, and so I need to see in order to better do them. Board just mentioned Flinch Core gonna Rage Quit. Outside of that, the team is just forgettable. It's a lot of like average Mons, but knowing Huff, he's going to turn those average Mons into very, very strange and deadly Mons because he builds really weird sets, and that's part of the reason I invited him into WWC, is because he thinks outside the box. Clem had them also at 11th. Solid offense with setup and decent defense. Solid hazards, yet lacking removal. Ghost weakness, Ice and Psychic being issues, and Jirachi having to carry a lot of weight. Shadow just talked about how it's lacking in offensive firepower. And like I said, well, Zeraora gives him the speed he sorely needed. I said I see a lot of hacks incoming. And basically, I just said, again, it's me not knowing what your team's going to do. Mama Niche coming in at 12th, which is a very familiar position for her because she was in 12th last season, which was last. So that's an improvement. Mama, you're not last. Joking aside, I had Mama Niche in the Leaf Yawns at 14th, 13th from Shadow, 12th from Clem. Board had her all the way up to 8th, and Altaria had her at 11th, so Board definitely helped get her up there. Altaria mentioned as being a fellow Texan that the team reminds him of Lubbock. It's on the map because of a decent college, but kind of average and in the middle of nowhere. There's good mons such as Zygarde and Weavile, but a lot of picks just seem mediocre. Entei, Empoleon, Whimsicott are decent. He's just not impressed. It's not a bad team, but he's not impressed. Board said Board. It's a good team, but kind of middle of the road. Clem, great offense from the physical side, good priority, that sort of thing. Again, offensive. Shadow, insert bulky water, because that's going to be an issue for Mama. And then he had a complaint about Aggron plus 40 points left over. And for me, it was more... I like the Mons on our team individually, but again, I don't see how they mesh together. A lot of setup sweepers with dangerous elements. Plus, she has the hidden option of potentially running Trick Room, with the fact that she has Cofagrigus, Aggron, Type Null, and yeah, that 3 right there could be a very scary Trick Room element if it wanted to be. And again, Mama has a good team. I just don't know how well it sits together. Her upper tier stuff is very good. Her lower tier stuff is pretty good. We'll see. Improvement is what I'm expecting from Mama, and I don't expect her to be in 12th all season again. Finally, we have the Dutch Pyroars here at 11th in the top or bottom 6 here. I had the Pyroars at 11. Shadow had the Pyroars at 7. 14th from Clem, 10th from Board, and 7th again from Altaria. My biggest complaint, and it's something that was carried through across all of them, is that while the team is well balanced, supporting each other as far as like pairings, Torn has an entire team of basically legendaries outside of Venomoth, Ninjask, and Scrafty and Lantern. Like, he's got Mega Diancie, Latios, Manaphy, Shaman, Cobalion, Blacephalon, Zapdos, and Regigigas as his legendary team. His speed tiers are just so wonky. They're all grouped in that 100 to 110 speed tier. And I think that's going to come back to bite him because people can just run Trick Room on him and really, really mess him up. Similarly, Shadow was a little surprised by no ground type, and the Fairy Resists are weak to rock and frail. Both rockers weak to ground. And then just, again, the speed tiers, 100 to 110. It's not good. Clem, like the setup in the solid bulk, lacks a bit in the physical attacking area. Lantern doesn't replace a ground type. Removal's good, but hazards are not great. Priority low. Again, speed tiers being an issue. Board. Shaman will cost you a game. Solid team, but better removal than Latios and Zapdos. Regigigas, dead weight. And Altaria mentioned about rating. Multiple setup win cons that look good almost every week. Speed passes allowed, and Ninjask is done. I just lost my thing. Ninjask is lost. Nasty things, or done nasty things with baton pass. Again, speed tiers. Literally, the speed tiers are the biggest issue that we have with Torn post-draft, is his speed tiers are basically the same. I'm sure once battling starts, you'll see Torn move up the board, but for now, 11th is where the Pyrors sit. 10th, Dying Dragoons and Dragoon. Dying Dragoons have a solidly scary rain team in Mega Swampert, Tornadus, Ferrothorn, Goodra, Pelipper, and Raikou, as well as some other Mons to handle various roles for them. Dragoon got ranked 12th by Altaria, 11th by Board. Clem had them at 7th. Shadow had them at 12, and I had the Dragoons all the way up at 5, so you're welcome, Dragoon. I'm the one that pumped you up there a little bit. Shadow talked about how rain has to come every single time. Team lacking in everything except solid hazard setters. Team doesn't appreciate knockoff. Hitmontop coming a lot to have to spin away rocks to prevent chip on Pelipper. Ghost type and Rocky Helmet punishes. Clem, very powerful rain team. Solid hazards and removal. Pretty flying weak, and psychics and ices look annoying. Board talks about how this is an extremely good rain team, like amazing rain team, but it's low because that's its strength. It's rain. It makes the team super predictable. And Altaria mentions, where did you put Dragon there? Kind of meh team. Just talking about the whole team setup. There's some bulk and Calm Mind, but SD or Nasty Plot would be nice for pressure. And I love the fact that it's a rain team. I think it's a very, very, very good rain team. Hazard control being balanced, plenty of rain abusers, but my question, and more I think about it, maybe I ranked Dragoon a little too high at 5, because after seeing other rankings, I have to agree. What do you do when you lose rain? Outside of rain, you don't have much that really seems like a solid offense. I'm sure you'll prove us wrong by bringing non-rain and just running through somebody, but without the rain, like, your team just doesn't seem to function outside of rain. Coming in at 9th, we have myself and the Bear Ticks. I ranked myself at 8th, so not far off. 9th from Shadow. 15th from Clem. Board had me at 4. 9th from Altaria. I basically told myself, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, forehead. Because I made a mistake post-draft during that free agent period, dropping Bulu for Kyurem Black and then trading away Raikou. That messed my team up. My team was so much better beforehand, but my team I still think is right average at this point, which is why I put myself at 8th. Altaria putting me at 9. He's like, this team has crept up a few ranks since I first started doing the analyzing. Fairy Dragon Steel Core of Zard X, Alolan Tails, and Kartona is very offensive and looks incredibly fun. Nidoking and Alakazam add to this offense. Good bulk and Gliscor, Umbreon, Jellicent to back up the team. Some form of speed control such as Tailwind and Trick Room. Biggest gripe is that Gliscor is stuck into both the rocks and defoggers. Most weeks it comes. With rocks being awkward on Nidoking. I 100% agree. My original team had better hazard control. It's right, Gliscor is going to be forced into a lot of defog rock sets, but I'll work around it. I may not need hazards every week. We'll see. From Board, putting me all the way up in 4th. Zardex plus Aurora Veil equals game. Setup plus Veil each week. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Okay. Clem dropped me all the way to 15th. Hazard's defensive capabilities matter, and my offense is dummy scary, but just my defense is why he's getting after me on that. And Shadow put me at Veil offense is scary, but team struggles against fairy types with Kartana and Nidoking being the only thing. I'm frail and weak to rocks, and defense is rather passive. Granted, I finally got what I hated most: Prankster, Tailwind, and Semi-Stall, which are both things I hate, but I do have Prankster, Tailwind, and Torn Eye. Savage coming in at 8th with the Baltimore Murkrows. I had Savage at 10. Looking for them. 5th from Shadow. 10th as well from Clem. 2nd overall from Board. And 6th from Altaria. Altaria liking the team, good balance. Bulutran is a well-known core. Mega Altaria and Araquanid round out both main type cores. Roserade being a little redundant. Tracheon, Bulu, and Necrozma are scary in webs. And Electrodum, Persian give low-tier momentum mons. Just Walrein being a duplicate pick. From Board, Gligar being a solid rocker and defogger. Dusclops eats anything except knockoff. Electrode standard fast. And Walrein being low-tier bulk. Plus a Alolan U-turn. He just really liked the draft overall. Clem, good offense and fantastic bulk. Supported nicely by Bulu. That sort of thing. Let's see. Shadow does not like how slow the team is, but thinks it sits very, very well together. Plus Necrozma being a major threat. And you guys all know I hate Necrozma very much. I'm going to have to speed this up because I'm just way too slow. This is where I need a co-host. 6th, the Lofoten Agrons. They have a stupidly bulky team in Celesteela, Toxapex, and Tangrowth, but also some offensive threats as well. I had them in 6th. I said one of the most disgusting defensive cores I've ever seen. Lopunny and Webs are great. Rockers being a little low, as is removal. With Hitmonchan being about the only removal that I could see. But I do like the fact that because he has Salazzle as well, no steel type is safe from a Merciless Pex. And I feel like that should be Giran's slogan for the season: no steel type safe from the Merciless Toxapex. Giran was ranked, I'm looking for him here on Shadow, 10th. Talked about the solid defensive core, but being passive. No sweepers being on the team, but otherwise not much. Break power plus Bolt Beam still runs through the team, even with Alola Lack, because you can prep for Alola Lack. Agrons were 9th for Clem. Stupidly bulky defensive core with powerful physical attackers, but lacking on the special side. Board putting them at, where'd you go? Agron's 3rd. Someone who has personally played against a team similar to this, who let Megalopex Steela be a thing. Everything just fits nicely together. And finally from Altaria, also putting the Agrons in 3rd. Steelapex growth is disgusting bulk, and Intimidate Crook will be even more frustrating. Decent hazard pressures. If someone overpreps for bulk, I can see them getting swept by Nasty Plot, Salazzle, or Lycanroc. Dutch Weaviles in 5th. They were 8th for Altaria, 6th for Board, 5th for Clem, 8th for Shadow and third for myself. I love this team. I absolutely love this team. It's Sand Core. Like, Sand Core is its main thing with Tyranitar, Excadrill in there. It has Rotom Wash, which is going to really, really take those water hits for that team that does not appreciate it. Some nice bulky water, gives them Defog, gives them Will-O-Wisp, all that. Mega Medi is kind of an interesting and semi-weird Mega here. A lot of offensive firepower. Rabombi for webs to help Excadrill outside of sand. Bronzong for some hazards. Frostlass kind of doesn't make sense there. Claydol, again, hazard control. Haxorus probably being one of the biggest threats to this team. Being on this team is very nice. Mantine gives them another bulky water type in the lower tier. I don't agree with Magmar pick, just because he has 40 points still on the board. If you're going to pick something down there and use Magmar as your fire type, why not grab Magmortar? It's still there. Or why not upgrade Mantine or Frostlass to something in tier 3? Weaviles, Shadow, Mega Medi / Haxorus under webs, and T-Tart Drill Sandcore makes this a scary team. Red and Wash, solid pivot. Eel and Zong are good defensive mons. Rest of the team is lacking. And he didn't like the fact that there's no Z Crystal on that, or a grass type, which I do have to say, really, really important for Damien and the Dutch Weaviles. They need to find a grass type in free agency to help this team out. Clem, powerful offense, especially on the physical side, decent defense, no glaring type weakness, hazards and remover plenty, mainly confused with no Z Excadrill, which Damien can always do. He would just have to burn his Z Captain transaction in order to do that. Board, Sandcore removal is great, so is the Setters. Web's weak in this, some great offensive mons, just some issue with being outsped. Granted, Webs takes care of that. And Altaria in 8th. Mega Medi plus Sandrill is extremely good, as are D-Dancing Haxorus, Quiver Dance Rabombi. Plenty of good rockers and spinners, defoggers. Two biggest gripes being leans very heavy on the physical offense side, with only Rabombi and Electros and Rotom on the special side, and not a lot of reliable recovery on the team's walls. 4th place, the Seattle Primarinas. Altaria had them in 5th. He really likes this team, thinks it can fly under the radar. It could be really good if the coach is comfortable with it. Someone said Mew is forced into a defensive role, and he couldn't disagree because Mandibuzz, Aromatisse, Donphan, and Alomomola are there. So Mew can do what it wants, basically. Different poison type in the lower tier for T-Spikes. Absorption is what he went after. Looking for them here. Spies. Primarina's 9th for board. He's the one that mentioned because of defensive Mew. That's the only reason this team synergizes. Clem put the Primarinas at number 1, saying this team is weaker after transactions, but synergy is honestly better. Offense is threatening. Hazards removal are both solid. Shadow had the Primarinas in 3rd. Volturn and defense are solid. Team fits with your playstyle, which again kind of got into there type of thing. Wants to see a defensive Infernape. I had the Primarinas at 9th. I think I had them the lowest. I think his team he had better, and Coco, Kieran Black was better. And that's where he switched it. I don't have a great feel for his team. I don't know how it synergizes, so that's why I put him low again. Top 3, we have the Green Lake Gliscors in 3rd. I had the Gliscors in 4th with a disgusting core and disgusting team, looking very similar to what it did last season, with Licky Licky being Licky Licky being very good for shutting down the weather teams that he will have to play. Just for reference, he has Gallade, Aegislash Hydreigon, Rotom Heat, Swampert, Golisopod, Nihilego, Aerodactyl, Breloom, Gardevoir, and Sneasel. Plus Mega Glade. Stupidly bulky, stupidly offensive, and the synergy between Aegislash, Hydreigon, and Rotom Heat and Mega Glade is very, very scary. But to me, it was the 4th best team. As did Shadow, he himself put it as 4th. Just saying that he's not happy. Fairy and Water and Ice is annoying, but can be handled. Clem had him at 2. Very good offensive and bulk, makes this team hard to break. Small issues being mediocre fairy type and little hazard control, as well as weakness to dark types. Board memed and put him all the way down in 13th. Just talking about it being an average team. I think that was just more Board ripping into Shadow. And 4th from Altaria. Talking about Mega Glade, Aegislash, and Hydreigon looks like a strong offensive core, with both AG and Hydra being able to run special or physical. Good hazard pressure. Not sure about drafting both Glade and Gardevoir. Reason it's sitting outside the top 3 is its bulk is a little lackluster, with Licky Licky seems very pivotal to this team as a wish passer. 2, the Trailblazekins. Trailblazekins sitting in 2 for Altaria. They were number 7 for Board. They were number 3 for Clem, number 2 for Shadow, and number 2 for myself. This was a very busted team, and actually it makes me rethink how I'm going to run the draft on the teams next season, because of both himself and the Ottawa Centrets. Defensive backbone is okay with Rhinoculus and Muck, but that's about it. And I wasn't sure why Kabutops, Rapidash, and Manectric were taken at the bottom of the draft. This team has Lando T, Greninja, Protein Greninja, Mega Mawile, and there's another Mon in that core. Kyurem Black. Those are the 4 Mons on this team that just make this thing stupidly busted offensively. And that's consistently what was said. Offense is broken beyond belief by Shadow. Solid defensive backbone. Couldn't run under Trick Room. Not having a bulky water bug Shadow, though. Clem, broken offense with good hazard support. Defense is decent, yet hazard removal is lacking. Board, offense is stacked, barely a functioning team like functions, but it feels more like a bunch of standout Mons slapped together. And Altaria having the Trailblazekins at 2, ridiculous offense, more ridiculous than the Centrants, but is less balanced. Bulk is better than some analysis give it credit for. Last few low-tier Mons see really random, and Altaria would not want to play this team. And the consensus number 1 across the board, except for Clem, was the Centrets. They were number 1 for myself, for Board, for Altaria, for Shadow. Clem, for some reason, decided that they needed to be in 6th because of a formula he runs. The main consensus, Magearna Mega Latios, is just stupidly busted. Why does Spare have 4 bug types is our biggest question. But once again, Spare has his stupidly busted Mega Lati Magearna core. Only didn't get the other half of his offense because the Trailblazekins took it from him. So that's going to be it for the power rankings. We're going to move on to the match discussion here. I know this video is running very late, and I apologize. Very long. We will be working on this in the future to make it shorter, myself included. Hopefully with other analysts. I'm not the one who's just mono-talking. They can help me keep on track. So quick rundown. You see them on the screen right now. We have the Lofoten Agrons versus the Chicago Bearticks, the Dutch Pyros versus the Gliscors, the Weaviles versus the Primarinas, the Gardevoirs versus the Matangs, Hydreigons versus Weedles, Dragoons versus Murkrows, Leafeons versus Togekiss, Centrets versus Blazekins. The top 2 in power rankings face off against each other. I swear I didn't make the schedule that intended to do that. It just happened when I made the schedule the way I did. Consensus pick for the Lofton Agron Chicago Bearticks. Everybody but Board picked the Bearticks, including the fan pick. I'm not allowed to pick my match. I'm not going to talk about it because I can't without giving away things. But everybody but Board picked myself, including the fans. Dutch Pyroars versus the Glaring Lake Gliscors. This was a split decision. Altaria and the fans picked the Pyroars, whereas Board, Clem, and myself went with the Gliscors. I'd base it purely on the fact that I know how both these coaches play, how both these coaches team build, and I just think that right now the edge goes to the Gliscors from a coaching standpoint and from a team standpoint. From a prep standpoint, I don't know. I just think that because Torn has all those mons lumped in the 100 to 110, the Gliscors are just going to abuse that fact. And I know how Shadow's going to abuse it. Not actually know, but just from battling against him, I know how he exploits people's weaknesses, and I will see that happen. I see that happening. No offense, Torn. I just don't think you're going to win this week. Prove me wrong. Same with all the coaches I didn't pick. Prove me wrong. Show me why you guys are going to win. Make me force you up the power rankings. Dutch Weaviles versus Seattle Primarinas. Consensus pick, except for myself, is the Seattle Primarinas will win this game. Again, I don't like the Primarinas team. I don't see how it functions. And I honestly think Damien has one of the best teams in the league, which is why I put him near the top. And I think his Sand Core plus his Web Sweepers are just going to be a little too much for the Primarinas to handle this time. So that's why I picked it. The Gardevoirs versus the Matangs. It is a clean sweep across the board. Everybody picking the Gardevoirs. Sorry, Huff. I really wanted to pick you, but I think that for right now I have to go with the Gardevoirs. I said Galades the first time, but I have to go with the Gardevoirs just because I haven't ever seen you battle, and from what I've heard, GHAW is a very, very good coach, and GHAW has a very good matchup against you with Tapu Koko. Houston Hydreigons, White Forest Weedles. This is a clean sweep from the analysts with the Weedles. Fans are picking Houston. Maybe we'll get an upset special there, and the fans will prove that the analysts know nothing. Dying Dragoons versus the Baltimore Murkrows. Another very split decision, split 3-3 board. Shadow and myself taking Dragoon. Altaria, Clem, and the fans taking Murkrows. And honestly, this is a toss-up to me. If Dragoon plays his Rain correctly, I think he's going to run over Savage. No matter what Savage tries to do, he can run through it. Biggest problem is going to be Tapu Bulu for him. Once he breaks Tapu Bulu, he's done. He's got that game. As far as Savage goes, I fully expect Savage to make this a fight. He's got so many setup threats. He's got such good synergy. His top end of his draft is so nice. It's going to be a fight, and I honestly think this could possibly be our match of the week this week. It's either going to be this or it's going to be the Centrets and Trailblazerkins, because these are two really, really well matched up matches that are just going to be very, very difficult to predict and see a winner. West Texas Leafeons versus San Diego Togekiss. Another very split decision. The Togekiss are favored with Altaria, Clem, Shadow, and the fans picking Matthias. I picked against Matthias, as did Board, for Mama. I think Mama has the superior team, which could allow her to win this match, and I think she will pull it out. She's shown a lot more confidence in her drafting and her team this season. Matthias, I'm sorry. Dude, you have all the battle skill in the world, and I fully expect you to prove me wrong with this pick. But I had to pick Mama Niche. I think she's got the better team. And that's where I'm leaning over skill right now, is the better team. And so I hate picking against friends. I really do. And Mama's a friend too. So regardless, all these people are friends. So pick'ems are very hard for me to do, as are power rankings, because I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings and all that. Final match, we have the Portland Trail Blazekins versus the returning champion, Spare and the Ottawa Centrets. It is a clean sweep except for myself. Everyone picking Ottawa Centrets. I went against the number one team in power rankings and my number one team as well. I think that Spare without Greninja and Lando T might struggle just a little bit more this season. Mega Lottie and Magearna are definitely broke. But I think the Trail Blazekins are going to show why Magearna is not a ban-worthy mon. And I don't think Spare having 4 bug types is going to help in this matchup either. I think the Trail Blazekins just have a very, very scary offensive team and have enough firepower to take down Spare, at least this time. That's going to be it, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Definitely check out all the analysts down below, please. Go show them some love. They work very hard every week to do their power rankings and pick'ems, and I greatly appreciate them. Check out the Discord server. That'll take you to the main Weather Gamer server. From there, I can link you to the WWC server. We're always looking for potential replacement coaches. Worst case scenario, we're looking for replacement coaches. Spectators, you can get in on the fan pick'em as well. It's a fun server. Both servers are very fun, but definitely click that link through to the Weather Gamer server, and I will get you guys connected to WWC if you want. Otherwise, you can hang out in Weather Gamer server. Most of these coaches are in there, and that's also a very fun server. Twitch, trying to get to that 50 followers on Twitch. I'm 9 away. Help me get there. And Twitter, if you want to see when I go live. I do Twitch streams, by the way. I forgot to mention that. I do stream on Twitch, probably like once or twice a week. Next one will be on Sunday, when's my next stream? Sunday the 27th, we'll be streaming Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Come claim my tags. I don't have any prizes for claiming my tags yet, but that's something in the future as the channel grows that I'll be doing. That being said, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys in the next one.